Hello Year 3 and welcome to our third lesson of Science Week. And today we're going to be looking at forces and magnets. And our learning objectives will be to understand that magnetic forces can attract and repel from a distance, to describe the poles of a magnet, and to predict the outcome of an investigation, which we will be doing throughout these next few days. Right, first of all, we need to look at what a magnet actually is. So I've got a video for us to watch. Let's have a look.
Phew, that was close. Lucky these were here, really. They look like magnets. Yes, look, they've got two poles, a north and a south. Even if the magnets aren't touching, they can exert a force on each other. Are you stuck? The opposite poles of a magnet attract one another, and poles that are the same, south and south for example, repel one another. I bet you guys use magnets every day. They're in handbags, fridges, compasses. Compasses? Of course! Sailors have been using magnets in compasses to navigate for hundreds of years. If the magnet can move freely, it will always show which way is north. There's land! You found it! Head north! Maybe we should see what's south instead.
Okay, great video. Now, what does it tell us? So try and use the words in red here, which are also some of our vocabulary words for today. Try and use these words in a sentence. We've got attract, repel, North Pole and South Pole. And by that we don't mean the places, we're thinking about magnets, okay? So pause the video now and have a go at your sentence. And then we'll move on in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I've done a very long explanation here, but if there's any bits that you'd like to add from mine, and I've tried to include every different word in our vocabulary as well. So just remember that North Pole and North Pole repel, South Pole and South Pole repel, but if you put them the opposite way, North and South attract, and then South and North attract, okay? And that's the main point. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Right, I want you to copy the table, and we're going to do this mini investigation together. So in your books, write down poles at the top, and then under that, write down these different matches that we're going to have between the North Pole and the South Pole of each magnet. And then next to it, I want you to write down whether they attract or repel. Okay? So let's go with the first one. We've got the North Pole, which it tells me there's an N on the red side here, and the North Pole here. So we're going to see if they attract, which means that they go together, or they repel, which means that they push apart. Okay? Let's have a look. North and North. Oh, I'm trying to push them together, but there's a force stopping me. So the first one we're going to write North Pole versus North Pole, and we're going to put repel, okay? Next we have South Pole versus South Pole. Okay, those are the two blues. Let's see what happens. What do you think will happen? Let's find out. Yeah, they're the same, they're repelling. I can't put them together unless I really tried, and then even then, I can't. So, South Pole versus South Pole, repel. Now what do you think will happen with the other two? Let's have a look. Let's go for North Pole versus South Pole. Yes, they attract. So, in this bit here, we can put down attract, which is the same as this word here, okay? And then in the final one, we've got South Pole versus North Pole. Okay, so here's our South Pole, here's our North Pole. Let's see what happens. Attract. So we should have repel, repel, attract, attract. Remember, opposites attract. Okay? Right, we'll move on in 3, 2, 1. Yep, there are our answers, and we can check those. So remember that these magnets that attract, they can even attract from a distance. I don't have to put them together. That's the force, the magnetic force that they have. Okay, now what are we going to do this week then with Robin Hood and magnets? Well, as we know from the picture there, with him holding the bow and arrow, the long bow, that Robin Hood is a great archer. He's very accurate when he shoots at a target, and he can fire from a very long distance too. But the sheriff has made it very unfair for him, and he's put Robin's target back a very long way, a long distance, and the contest is not fair. That means that the sheriff wants the other knights to beat Robin because their targets are closer. So we need to help Robin by magnetising the target so that he can hit the target. Can you see the target behind me? It's up there. Right. So we need to help him to win the grand prize, which is the silver arrow. Okay? But first, we need to find a magnet to put on the back of the target. Okay? Let's have a look in order though. First of all, we need to find a magnetic material. So that's anything which is attracted to a magnet. What could we have? I've got... Oh, there's a screw there. So we might use that as one of them later on. So we need to find a magnetic material to stick to the end of Robin's arrows. Now if it's going to stick to the end of Robin's arrow, it needs to be as light as possible so it doesn't weigh the arrow down when it flies to the target. So we need a small magnetic material to stick to the end of the arrow, okay? And then next, we need to carry out an investigation, and we'll do this on Friday, to find the strongest magnet so that he will win the contest and defeat the evil Sheriff of Nottingham. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, let's go. So what do we need to know first? Well, magnets attract certain materials. And those materials, if they're attracted by magnets, they're called magnetic. So the things that attract, that are magnetic, they always contain iron or steel. So if something's magnetic, like this screw, we know that it either contains iron or steel, whereas other metals, they aren't magnetic. Okay, here we go again then. So, you need to fill in the gaps with the red words in the word bank below. So pause the video now, see if you can fill in those gaps, and then we'll check your answers afterwards. And we'll check those in 3, 2, 1. There we go. This is where we got our information. So we had magnets attract certain materials. Materials attracted by magnets are called magnetic, and materials containing steel and iron, or iron and steel, are magnetic. Other metals are not magnetic. Okay, well done if you got those. If not, just make any changes you need to. Right, let's begin. So, we have to write an introduction to begin with. So, for the introduction, I'm not going to ask you to do this much, but the introduction is going to stay the same. So, you'll need to copy out what you can see on the screen there. So, copy out this. Introduction, underline it with a colon at the end. And then we will write, in this investigation, we want to find out which materials are magnetic. We can then choose one of the magnetic materials to put on the end of Robin's arrows to win the competition. So copy that down and then have a go at drawing one of these pictures under our introduction to make it look nice. And then unpause when you're ready. Okay, what materials do we need? Right, so I have a bar magnet. Do I have a screw? Yeah. a pencil rubber, an eraser, 5p coin, a 2p coin, a drink can. I've got a whole bag of paper clips here, but I'll just use one, I think. A button. I found a button in this room here. A ruler. There we go. Some scissors. And a pencil. Okay, so those are my materials. I've got the magnet and I've got 10 different materials, and that's what we're going to do the investigation with. Okay, so if you have a fridge magnet at home, and you can even do this too, you can find your own materials, but if not, if you don't have any of that stuff, we'll just do the investigation here together and you can copy down and we'll work together. Okay? Right, first of all, a fair test. I want you to have a go at coming up with your own definitions based on the Oak Learning that we did last term about fair tests, independent variables, dependent variables and control variables. I want you to have a go and write down what you think each one of them means. And once you're ready, unpause the video and then we'll check the answers. And we'll check the answers in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so an independent variable, that's the thing that you change. The dependent variable is the thing that you observe or measure, and the control variable always stays the same. So for this experiment, our control variable will be the magnet. We'll keep that the same for every material. The thing we're going to change, our independent variable, will be the material, because we've got 10 different materials we can use. And the dependent variable is the thing we observe or measure. So the dependent variable is whether it attracts or repels. Whether it attracts or it doesn't attract, if it's magnetic or if it's not magnetic. And to keep things a fair test, we're going to just change one thing, which is the material, and everything else, the magnet, etc., will stay the same. Okay? So I want you to try and match up what I just explained. What is our independent variable? What is our dependent variable? And what is our control variable? See if you can match that up, and then write it down in your book, and then we'll check the answers in 3, 2, 1, go. Right, so independent variable, the thing we change, material. Dependent variable, if they attract or they're non-magnetic. And then finally, the control variable is the magnet, because that's the thing we're going to keep the same. Right, now I want you to pause the video and have a go at filling in this gap fill. So pause the video now and use the word bank below to help you fill in the gaps. And we'll look at the answers in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so we're going to need to copy the fair test, this bit of writing, down into our books with the right words. So if you need to make any changes, now is the time to pause the video, make the changes, and then we'll continue. And we will continue in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, finally, it's prediction time. We have to make a prediction. So we've got all of our materials on this side here. We've got our bar magnet with the other 10 materials we're going to try and see if it attracts to. And I want you to write this out. So I think that and then I want you to write the things that you think will attract to the magnet out of this list here. And don't worry, you don't have to do the investigation yet. This is just you saying what you think will happen before you've done it. So if they attract to the magnet, remember it's because they have iron or steel in them. And if they have iron or steel in them, then they're magnetic. Okay. So write down all of this, and then in the gaps, put down the things that you think will be magnetic. And then we'll do our investigation tomorrow. Well done, guys. That's the introduction, the fair test and the variables, and the prediction you've done today. Let's see what happens with our target and our magnets tomorrow.